So we live in this super connected world, right? But does all that connection, that interdependence, lead to cooperation? Or does it just cook up new reasons for conflict? We're about to break down the two major theories that try to answer this: realism and liberalism. And you really need to get these two for your exam to understand global politics.
So, it all boils down to this one big question. Does globalization bring us closer, or does it just create new battlegrounds? And to make this really clear, we're going to keep coming back to a perfect example from today's world: the fierce rivalry between the US and China over 5G technology. Okay, before we dive into the theories themselves, you've got to understand this one core concept: interdependence. It's basically the mutual reliance countries have on each other for, well, everything: trade, tech, security, you name it. You can kind of think of it like a global supply chain, you know? When everything's running smoothly, we all win. But if one link breaks, well, that can cause a massive headache for everyone.
All right, first up, let's look at this through the realist lens. And for them, it's all about two things: power and competition.
So, if you're a realist, you basically see the world as this giant competitive arena. It's a pretty pessimistic view, honestly. They believe that without some kind of world government to enforce the rules, conflict isn't just a possibility, it's pretty much inevitable. And this whole worldview really rests on three core ideas you need to remember. First, anarchy. Now, that doesn't mean chaos in the streets. In international relations, it just means there's no central world government to call the shots. Because of that, a country's #1 goal is just survival, which means a constant hunt for power and security. And this leads to what they call a zero-sum game: the idea that for me to win, you have to lose. Your gain is my loss, period.
Okay, so let's apply that to our 5G example. A realist would look at this and say, this isn't just about faster phones. No way. It's a classic power struggle. For them, the country that controls 5G technology holds a massive key to national security and, really, global dominance.
But is that the only way to see it? Absolutely not. Let's flip the script and look at the liberal view, which is all about cooperation and finding mutual benefits. This is a total 180 from realism. Liberals argue that countries working together for a mutual win isn't some pie-in-the-sky dream. Actually, in our super interconnected world, it's what we should expect to happen. The focus completely shifts from inevitable conflict to the potential for cooperation. See, for liberals, the world stage is way more crowded and complex. It's not just countries calling the shots anymore. You've got huge international organizations like the UN, corporations, and NGOs. They all have influence. And all these different players create this dense web of connections that actually makes fighting a really bad and costly option. Cooperation just makes more sense.
So what about that 5G rivalry? Well, from a liberal point of view, it looks totally different. It's not seen as this winner-take-all security threat. Instead, it's a shared challenge. And a shared challenge is an opportunity to collaborate. A liberal would say, hey, let's get together and create some global rules and standards for this stuff, so the tech is safe, open, and works for everyone. Okay, that dense web of connections we mentioned, it has a name, and it's a concept you absolutely need to know for liberalism: complex interdependence. This is probably the biggest idea that separates it from realism.
So what does it mean? Well, it's got three main characteristics. First, there are multiple channels. This means interactions aren't just government to government. It's businesses, scientists, regular people. It's all interconnected. Second, there are multiple issues. It's not all about military security. Things like climate change and global health are just as critical. And third, and this is a big one, all of this means that military force just isn't as useful as it used to be. Diplomacy and trade become the main tools in the toolbox. All right, so let's do a quick side-by-side recap. This is the kind of comparison you'll definitely need to nail down for your exam. And when you put them next to each other, the differences are just so clear, right? For realism, the main players are states. For liberalism, it's states plus all those other groups. The main goal for realists: power and survival. For liberals, mutual benefits and cooperation. This all means that realists look at globalization and see a threat that fuels rivalry. But liberals look at the exact same thing and see a huge opportunity to work together.
Okay, so if you really want to lock this all in and make sure you've mastered it, the full summary and some really helpful interactive practice tests are ready for you over at gradeguru.nl. All right, for your final takeaways, what do you absolutely need to remember? First, interdependence is a double-edged sword. It can cause conflict, as realism suggests, or it can foster cooperation, like liberalism argues. Second, realism is all about states, power, and security in a zero-sum world. And third, liberalism is about multiple actors, mutual benefits, and cooperation through institutions. And don't forget, you can use that 5G debate as a perfect real-world example to explain both of these theories on your exam.